Flashgitz.
Some of you might recognize this spot. This is where 5 years ago I almost ran my brother over trying to make a stupid YouTube video. The video featured some of the dumbest, best ideas we ever had, and now they're gonna be our first ever cartoon show.
Hello there, I'm Thomas Hinchley.
And I'm Don Greger, and we are Flashgitz. Probably the greatest cartoon writers the world has ever seen.
Suck it, Miles. Everyone who's been watching our YouTube channel for years has known that ever since we were youngins, it's been our dream to make a cartoon series. And now we're finally gonna get the chance to do it with Rooster Teeth. But let's just take a step back for a moment. Maybe some of you sneaky devils paused and went to try and find that old Flashgitz video. Unfortunately, we've had to set that video to private and hide it away because it's old, and we've just learned so much since then in the realms of storytelling, action pacing, just about every gamut you can think of. We have improved as creators. Having the earlier version of this thing out there is just gonna confuse people because Motor Knight is not Bird of Fire. And because Motor Knight, the show itself, is gonna be so much more. The Bird of Fire was like a chubby, and Motor Knight is the full-blown 5.5-inch erection. Let's talk about our new show with Rooster Teeth, Motor Knight.
God, that was badass.
Motor Knight is about a knight, his scribe, and his car. And it's gonna be fantasy genre as fuck.
We love fantasy, because it's kind of like this hyper-reflection of reality. Everything's brighter, the lines are cleaner, mystical creatures and bountiful feasts, shining swords and the spark of arcane magic. Everything in the real world is kind of already discovered and mapped out. But not so with fantasy. With fantasy, there's untold secrets to unlock, limitless creatures to encounter. It's just escapism at its fucking finest. Everything taken up to 11, and it's just fucking cool. Fantasy is just fucking cool. You can get kind of jealous of the people that get to live in these worlds. I mean, not her, she looks pretty upset, but this guy looks kind of angry. It doesn't matter, you get kind of jealous of them, because they get to live in these worlds and you can't. The closest most people can get is through Dungeons and Dragons, or a healthy dose of DMT. But now we get to do something better. We get to create our own fantasy world with Motor Knight. And that's where we drop in with our main character.
Sir, leading role.
Knights are the ultimate arseholes. Riding around on their horses in armor that basically made them into fucking battle tanks whilst every other cunt had a burlap sack. Or decking the other cunt in opposite colours and making off with all his shit. I think we've all dreamed of being that brash and destructive. Yet all the while they're supposed to be these like paragons of virtue.
I think that was a huge part of the appeal of the Holy Grail. A movie about knights trying to be knights in this base, grimy world where everything was covered in shit and nobody had any respect. It's funny when you see their attempts at chivalry be their downfall.
After the spanking, the oral sex.
Anyway, it's been 25 years of growing up with all this stuff. Lord of the Rings, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Warhammer Fantasy, movies, books, collecting replicas of swords and armor.
Samurais was still kind of cool. Pirates was still kind of cool. But knights were the fucking best. No contest.
And now we come to the greatest, dumbest part of this great, dumb idea. Summer 2013. I had to spend mostly in bed because I just had a big back surgery, and I spent my days shopping for my first car. I didn't know shit about cars, but I knew I wanted something loud and I wanted something stupid. I'd saved up about $2,000, and that pretty much narrowed my options to cheap 90s muscle cars. And that is where I found this fucking disaster. Up to that point, I had never heard of Firebirds, but it was an instant obsession. The shape of the silver chassis, kind of how it flows into the headlights and into a point, instantly reminded me of like an arrowhead or a shield or a sword. And then obviously the Firebird logo looks just like a coat of arms. This is just a knight's car, if ever there was one. This year, my car is 21 years old. Every year since I've owned it, my car has suffered some catastrophic mechanical failure. Its accelerator pedal once went slack on a 5-lane highway. There was one point where its speed gauge suddenly couldn't decide whether it was going 10 or 60 miles per hour. But God, I think there's something really endearing about that. Even though I may well die driving this thing someday, having to take care of it and fix it all feels like it kind of contributes to this ridiculous idea of having a relationship with our cars. We legitimately think of these things as companions, as beasts of burden, like a horse, Taurus, Mustang, Thunderbird, Firebird. Couple that with the pains taken to make the shape of the grille and the headlights and everything have like a personality, like an emotion, almost like a face. And you might find yourself projecting a sincere, deep love for something that isn't actually alive. This car's shitty, cracked interior was a sanctuary to me when I was in college and I'd get stressed out. This car's pop-up headlights once saved Tom's life from a crash with a deer. This is a 3,272-pound piece of metal that's profoundly important to me, and we hope we can tap into that and a relationship like that with Motor Night.
God, that was badass.
So, lastly, who are the absolute rascals who bought our show? A company called Rooster Teeth. For those of you who don't know who they are, they have a story that really resonates with us. Because just like us, they started out as some friends in a room making dumb content for the internet, never imagining that it would turn into a real career.
Shows like Red vs. Blue paved the way for content creators such as ourselves to do what we do today. Rooster Teeth just went from a bunch of dudes making machinimas to a massive company that's now working with the likes of the Always Sunny in Philadelphia guys to attaching A-list actors to their other projects.
With projects involving that caliber of talent, the fact that they're willing to take a risk on us developing a show for them, just a couple of dudes making silly cartoons in a bedroom, is really humbling and inspiring to us. Well, I say risk, but come on, these numbers don't lie.
Motor Night as a show just means so much to us. It's some of the best shit we've ever written, and we can't wait to show you more.
We're also going to be heading down to RTX Austin this August from the 3rd to the 5th. We'll be doing some panels and generally just hanging around having a good time. So if you're wondering about and you happen to see us, come say hi.